Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are truly grateful for your time and energy as we come together for another session of Kollective Konversations, a space where community, learning, and real-life experiences meet to inspire and empower us all. For those of you who may be new, Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are truly grateful for your time and energy as we come together for another session of Kollective Konversations, a space where community, learning, and real-life experiences meet to inspire and empower us all. For those of you who may be new, Kollective Konversations is our ongoing series that brings together voices from across the community to share stories, insights, and wisdom that not only inform, but also uplift and connect us. I'm Cynthia Beard, and I'm honored to serve as your host today. It's my great privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Brian Nabors, who wears many hats. He is the director of the Salvation Army, a dedicated educator, mentor, basketball coach, and a successful DJ and entrepreneur. Beyond his professional role, he is also a celebrated athlete, being inducted into Woodrow Wilson High School's 2015 Basketball Hall of Fame. That's how I most know you. Right. Brian's journey and passion for getting back to the community make him a powerful voice for today's conversation, and we're excited to learn from his experiences and his insights. Now let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you.
We're honored for you to be here.
Glad to be here.
Very much so.
Thankful to be here.
So how are you today?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing
How's
great as
everyone here
well.
today? Doing great.
Right.
All right. Beautiful.
So let's jump into it. So let's talk a little bit about your basketball career, because I'm a little bit intrigued by that. You were a former basketball player and star for Woodrow Wilson. I'm just impressed with all you have going on, and I just wanted to know about your role as a mentor for young ladies that you were coaching.
Being a former basketball player, I grew up in the city of Beckley, following my brother's path.
Right.
Andre, I have an older brother, Andre. And everything that, he did, I wanted to do, of course. Most little brothers wants to do.
Right.
But ever since I was 5 years old, I fell in love with the game of basketball.
Right.
And throughout my career, I finished up, graduated from college. I came back home. I thought I was done with basketball, but I think God had another plan for me to get back and just give back to the community and the school system. I started coaching basketball in 1996.
How did you end up start with the girls?
Well, I was doing AAU in the early 2000s. A guy came to me and asked me if I would coach his daughter AAU team. And I started coaching AAU, and I was coaching with the boys' high school basketball team, which was in high school. And I decided, to give it a try, because I never coached girls before, except for, being in a camp. Coach Barksdale's basketball camps. I worked some of his camps where we had to work with girls. But as far as being, a head coach, never experienced that. Right. So I took on the opportunity, and it was just a great experience. Was able to help a lot of young ladies have opportunities to receive basketball scholarships through AAU.
Right.
And also just give back to what, in regards to advice from a male's
right. So what are some of the challenges you faced coaching girls versus boys?
One that I can think of would probably be the emotional side.
Right.
No offense.
Right.
Because I'm an intense coach.
Right.
My voice carries from time to time, and sometimes that could be somewhat intimidating, not just with girls, but with boys as well, with young people as well.
Right.
But that's just one of the challenges, and just making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a leader, and being a good example for the young ladies. Because some things you shouldn't say to a female that you can get away with saying to a male athlete. And so you're just trying to be, respectful and do the best I can to be a positive male example in their life.
Do you feel like you served as a father figure maybe to some of these young ladies that are, coming from single parent homes?
Most definitely. I can't count the amount of young ladies that had several challenges without having a male figure in their life. Absolutely. And I believe God put me in their life to be in that position, not in the home, but as an influence outside of the home.
Absolutely.
In the environment.
Absolutely.
Which age group do you think with girls are the most challenging? Because you do from what, 13, 14?
Well, right now in the school system, it's high school. So it's 9th grade through 12th. So anywhere 15 to 18.
Okay.
The most challenging group, that's an interesting question because I've had the privilege to coach a middle school group and also a high school group. So probably would be high school because, they're becoming young ladies, they're becoming women, they're coming to their own, and they having a lot more challenges with, significant others, getting involved in their life, and we as coaches, we want to stay focused on, schoolwork and basketball, but they got other things that's been somewhat of a distraction, but just part of life, and you just gotta try to juggle it and try to do the best you can to give them give them some good advice and also present themselves in a positive way.
So, and also dealing with the young ladies about, like if you go into a game, what are your challenges with the parents, with the parents in the audience, maybe, yelling at you or, just straight up, yelling at you and trying to get you off of your focus.
Oh yeah, that's a challenge. I've been, as a basketball player, well, let me just say this. Playing the game of basketball and coaching the basketball is totally different. People don't realize that. People think just because they play basketball, they'll be a great coach. That's not necessarily the case. In some cases, yes. But for me, playing, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear people cheering or anybody saying anything in the stands because I was just so focused on getting the job done.
Right.
As a coach, I'm kind of wired the same way, but sometimes I do hear some things in the background. I hear to the point where it can get frustrating. But you gotta maintain your composure, and the most important thing is you gotta be a leader. You gotta be a leader and be an example for the kids. You gotta stay focused on what the job is, and that's trying to do the best we can. And the ultimate goal is to win the basketball game. So that's always a challenge, and I realize people gonna say things. It's all it's every coach in the stands never lost a game, so they can say whatever they want to say, and it is what it is. I just got to have tough skin, which I'm still working on. I got to have tough skin to be able to just stay focused.
But I've been to some of your games, and I've never really seen you, derogatory, with the girls. And I saw you kind of hard, or not hard, but said we got to win this game. Right. So I've seen the pressure that you were under, and how you overcame that, and that's an excellence right there. That's a check mark.
As a matter of fact, how do you keep that balance? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your process like before a game?
Prayer. That's the first thing. Prayer. There's no way I could do anything without the strength of the Most High. I ask Him every single day to lead me and guide me, and that's what's gotten me through.
So is that something you encourage your players to do as well?
Without a doubt. I even we have conversations about the importance of. Our thing is God is number one in everything. Amen. We should always put God first in everything that we do. And I can't help but to voice that.
Right.
And then the second thing we believe in is family. Right. So it's God, family, then education, believe it or not.
Right.
Schoolwork. Right. Okay. And then it's sports. Because if you don't have God and if you don't have a strong family foundation, it's going to be difficult to be successful in academics, and it's going to be in the sports world as well.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. So we try to create that type of atmosphere with our basketball program as well. I tell them it's a sisterhood.
Right.
You got to have each other's back and be there for one another through the good times and the bad times.
Is there any differences in the way you train your girls, coach and train your girls then versus a boys basketball team? Somewhat. You have to. I've learned over the years that from the physical standpoint, females are built different. Yes.
And so in regards to trying to avoid injuries, there's certain ways that we try to teach the girls how to land. When they leave the floor and come down, to protect themselves.
Right.
So in that aspect, but other than that, it's not much of a difference because I thought that, when you coaching, when I first started coaching girls, you have to be, be nice. You have to be nice, and you have to,
sensitive.
watch what you say, but I tell you, on the AAU circuit, I saw some coaches from different states that was hardcore with these girls, and it taught me that, it's all about respect.
Right.
You can say things as long as you're respectful, and you have to know the kids as well. You got to know what they're able to handle. Some
Absolutely.
girls or some players, just not focus on. Let's just say a student athlete in general. Some can handle intense coaching and screaming and yelling. Some can't.
Right.
So you have to find, in regards to their personality, what they can handle. And be aware of that to get the best out of them. That's the key. You want to get the best out of them. And where I came up, playing under Coach Dave Barksdale, it didn't matter. He treated everybody the same, the best player to the last person on the bench. If he yelled at him, he got on him, but it was motivating, and it wasn't the point wasn't derogatory. It was just his demeanor and it's the way he coached, and we all respected that.
It was just a level of intensity you got to get used to.
Level of intensity was on another level.
I'm glad you brought Coach Barksdale up because that's like a local hero around here, and where I'm a little bit intrigued to find out what's some of his coaching methods. Like, how was Beckley so successful for so long? What's some of his secrets, if you could tell us any?
I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say a secret because he let it be known. I mean, if you're going to be successful, these are the things you're going to have to do. If you want to be good, these are things we're going to have to do. If you want to be great, you have to make even more sacrifices. So, Coach Barksdale was very big on work ethic. Putting time into your craft. If you want to get better, you got to put time. And that's so true. That's the way I improved. I thought I was a real good basketball player at 7 years old. And I was God had blessed me with a skill to be that young to be able to handle the basketball. When I met Coach Barksdale, and I think it was when he came in 1983, I believe. 1983, 1984. I think that school year. When I met him that summer with the Summer League, he just showed me some basic drills to do to improve my game.
How old were you?
I had to be in the fourth grade, so I was about 10 years old, something like that. But he actually taught me how to work out, So those things that he showed me, now when I went to the gym, went to the basketball court, I actually worked on those things.
Right.
Prior to that, I just was out there just shooting, trying to do what Robert Cobbs was doing, and people that I looked up to, Bob Bolin, and guys that were playing at Woodrow at the time, Stevie Kidd, and I just looked up to them, and I tried to do what they were doing, or doing watching NBA, watching Magic Johnson, and things of that nature. So he really taught how to, have a work ethic in what you do to improve your craft.
And he's also heavy on the fundamentals of basketball.
Number one.
So I got a question. So
yes, sir.
We're here to celebrate you, so I'm gonna get to the question. But Darius, I want to introduce everybody to Darius Coles. He's joining us today. He's one of our colleagues. He's been working here for a while. But one thing I remember him saying when he first was hired, I spoke about a name by a guy named Andre that I'm friends with. Well, apparently that was his AAU coach, but his face lit up.
Wow.
And to get back to the story though, I remember you said you started with AAU, and then I remember started in the school system, then did some AAU as well. Coaching, right?
Yes.
And I remember coaching with you 1 year. I think it was only like 1 year or something like that, but I got people still call me coaching. But it's till this day, just from coaching that one little time.
Mm-hmm.
But the lasting, the long lasting relationships. The ups and downs, though, how do you handle them? Because you see these, you know that. You see these people, from baby or, young all the way up to older now. How do you handle that as far as, because there's up and downs. I mean, everybody didn't do well after they became an adult. But how do you handle that? Because now these loss and lasting effects are here now. And how do you deal with that?
Well, I believe, Don, it all comes down to encouragement and support. I've learned early in my adult life that the the difference between success and failure is not necessarily losing and winning. And that brought me like it, because me, the way I grew up, it was win. It didn't matter. It did not matter.
Right.
It's all about winning. The fun came from winning. That's how we were brought up. However, I learned that as long as you're doing your best, if you really putting your best effort forth, then you don't lose, you don't fail. And when you fail, if you don't accomplish that goal, what you set out to do, then it's a lesson to that. It's only going to make you better, and it's preparing you for something else in the future. So for players that may not pan out in regards to their career, it's a lesson to that. It's something, God has something else for you. Those that come back and realize that they learn more about life than they did basketball, would learn just as much about life than they did basketball under my tutelage. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
That's a blessing to me, because that tells me that what God has in store for me and what He wants me to do, I'm fulfilling that, because that student athlete got something out of life. And through basketball, we teach life lessons. It's ups and downs, there's wins and losses. You got to learn how to deal with it. You got to have the right attitude about things. And I can honestly say, sometimes I don't have the right attitude about things, and especially when it comes to losing, because I hate to lose. I probably hate to lose more than I enjoy winning. That may sound crazy, but it's just the competitiveness in me that I was taught. I've always been that way, and and believe it or not, I don't want the student athletes that I deal with, that I coach, I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be better than me. I want them to handle situations better than I do. So that's why I really try to be an example for the young people in regards to being in a position of leadership. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So steer out of basketball, because you do other things.
Yes, sir.
You do other things. You're a director, right? At Salvation Army.
Just became one of the directors of Salvation Army.
That's a great thing. That's a good thing.
Congratulations on that.
Director of service.
There we go.
And what all do you do, sir?
Well, I'm a liaison in the school system with students that's in our after-school program at the Salvation Army.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? I'll jump around.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people don't know about what the program behind it.
Yeah, after-school program is for kids ages from 5 to 18. And basically, it's an after-school program to help them with their homework. We have tutoring opportunities. They do arts and crafts, have sports, community access work, just a numerous of things for students to do. But most importantly, it's a facility where kids can go to and be safe.
Right.
And learn
and
at
that's
the same
important.
time. Very important. Very important. Because there's not a lot to do, think about it. After school, you got parents now that's working long hours and may not be, so you have kids that's at home unattended.
Right.
So being in this after school program, they would go somewhere, get a meal, get something to eat, they get their homework done, and also do activities. And most of all, the most important thing I believe is provide with Bible study. Teach them about the Word of God. And you have a musician on site also that's teaching them how to play instruments as well. So it's teaching them how to be well-rounded, with a lot of different things.
And that runs up to what time in the evening, sir?
To 6 o'clock after school, basically 3:30 to 6 p.m.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Not to jump away from basketball and sports and all that stuff like that there, but one good question that I have, you're also #1 DJ here in West Virginia. I mean, they call you the GOAT. I mean, so tell us a little bit about your DJ experience. I know you love music, so when did that all start?
Well, I'm flattered that you would say that about me. Said #1 DJ. By far, I'm not the #1 DJ, but I appreciate it. But I take it very, very seriously.
Yes.
Man, where do I start? You said love music. That's where it started. Having the love of music. I grew up in a household. A lot of people, especially my age, don't know that my father.
Bless his heart.
My dad was a musician. He
Well, I
played
remember.
the trumpet.
Well,
You remember that?
I remember.
Okay.
Well,
See, that was before I even was brought into the world,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
But you know, I would hear some stories, and I remember just seeing his trumpet, and we would get his trumpet out, and we would get in trouble sometimes because, you know, we didn't know what we was doing. We didn't put it back right. So he tried to teach us a little bit, but he didn't really push us towards being a musician like that. Where I got it from is, I believe, when I look back, I can remember, my memory goes back a long way, but I can just remember being in the living room, and I'm going through these records, you know, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, LTD, Barcades, just on, I mean, Temptations, I mean, and I would play Ozzy Brothers, and I would play these records, you know, and the music sounded good to me, and I had to get it from him, seeing him do it.
Right.
So, you know, I was doing it, and to the point where I knew how to work the record player. That's what they called it back then. I learned how to work the record player. I could do it on my own. So that's probably where it started. And as I got older, when I found out that it was actually there was a DJ, someone that actually manipulated records. I thought it was amazing to me. And I saw Stu in, God rest his soul. He was my motivation. When I saw him on them two turntables and a mixer, I said, I can do that. I know I can do
The
that.
cassette tapes, we was trying to put them in there, trying to get it taped.
The tapes right, we trying to make tape.
Trying to get there, trying to
You're
get
exactly
it.
right.
Win, but
That's right.
That's what it was.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
cassette tapes. That's what it
It's
was.
called the Black Beat Show. It came on Sunday evening.
About 30 minutes, or something like that. But I'm telling you, you had to get that tape.
Get that tape, and
we couldn't get the music other than that.
I still have tapes.
Oh Lord.
In a back where, you know, I taped off of the Black Beat Show. But I got to see him play live, you know, DJing, and the way he controlled the crowd with the music and had people dancing and people just enjoying themselves. I was like, man, I want to do that. Then I saw people that my brother was going to school with, you know, Steve Gaither, Johnny Gavin, I can't think of his last name right now, but they called him Earl, Lil Earl. His DJ name was DJ Smooth. But yeah. But just seeing that, then my brother they had like a little DJ crew. And remember I said I want to do everything my brother was doing. So, you know, I would, you know, chase behind him, and they'd be up at his friend's house, and they would be on the turntables, and they wouldn't let me get on because I was too little. They didn't think I knew what I was doing. Yeah. But about a few weeks went on, I would be so much of a pest and begging them to let me try. Then the last few minutes they would let me get on. So remember, I just always knew I can do it. And whenever I saw somebody with some turntables, they gave me an opportunity, I would get on. And I got a job. Later, I'm moving up and fast forward in life now. But I got a job working for Presley Ridge, and a guy came to me and said he asked me if I was looking for some turntables, and I said yes. And he said he had some turntables. He gave me a price. And I asked some people about it. They said it was a good deal. And I bought the turntable.
You talking about LP turntables?
LP turntable. Technique. 12-inch Techniques.
People don't really
know about that. Yeah.
I know they lost on that part. But
turntable, Technique, 12-inch Techniques, vinyl records, where it's not where you pushing a button. You actually had to pull the record out the sleeve, put it on the platter, put the needle on the record, and get busy. Yeah, yes indeed. So that's pretty much how the DJing started, and I never looked back. You know, my parents couldn't afford to buy me turntables when I was a kid, but you know, I just had a dream of one day getting my hand on a set of turntables. When that day came, God blessed me to be able to purchase them, and it's been on since.
Well, your dad also was an entertainer too. I mean, you know, he liked it. Well, I knew him.
Well, my dad liked to
he
sing.
Liked to entertain.
Yeah, my dad loved to sing. He loved to sing. He sung in many choirs in the church.
Yes.
But I had a real good ear for music.
Yes.
So I think I got some of that from him.
Yes. Well, you know, I ain't gonna stop everybody right here. But me and your dad, we used to sit down. Once he come over near my area and where I lived at, he just grabbed him a chair.
Oh, he wasn't a stranger to anybody.
That was it. You know what I'm saying? That was it.
No doubt.
We'll be there for hours just talking and talking.
Awesome.
And I can tell you one thing, that he loved his family. He was a good family man. and he loved his kids. I didn't know all of his children at the time, but then when I found out that you was one of his sons, I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "I can see how he gets his love."
Yeah, my dad
So
was
he's
full
a great,
of love.
great,
Yeah.
great man. Great,
Miss my dad.
man.
Miss him a lot.
Great,
Miss him
great,
a lot.
great man.
Great man. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah. So you said what was your first job, right? I think it was my first real job with Presley Ridge, and we had our director of foster care up here, Shamika Mitchell, came a few weeks ago, and I spoke a lot about Presley Ridge, and I know that's where we started at. I know I started there. I mean, it was different. It was different, but it was a life experience. I mean, and now looking back on it, I don't know how many years it's been. I mean, I'm older. I mean, a little bit older than you, but I just never knew that, and I don't know if you did, never knew that the things we were learning then, we'd be able to use them now. You know what I mean? Especially you and coaching me, still working with kids and families as well. But it was we were young, you know what I mean? That really didn't know, and it's something, that, everybody won't experience that in that little time period, because it was like a lot of us there. I mean, with the turnover, it was like a year, and I think it was 7 of us who stayed for like 6 or 7 years, which is something unheard of at that time. But it's like, just did you learn a lot? I mean, from those things.
Well, Don, you and I started together,
right?
With Presley Ridge,
right.
Yeah,
right.
I tell you, I credit Presley Ridge for learning actually how to process,
right,
with especially young people, and with not only just young people, just with people in general that's having problems, that's having issues,
Right.
But I learned so much from working from Presley Ridge, because the training, we was always doing trainings, and a lot of role playing, and just the experience with dealing with kids that are just have so many challenges,
right,
and so much problems in their life in regards to family situations. It makes you, for me anyway, I can only speak for me, it made me appreciate my upbringing even more.
Right.
Because I was blessed to have parents that brought us up the best that they could, and they applied discipline. We had discipline, and as kids, you don't understand, and you don't like discipline, but you don't realize at the time that it's shaping you and molding you to be the person that you become. So to answer your question, Don, I can't tell you the amount of lessons that I learned from Presley Ridge in regards to dealing with people.
Right, and it's just like when you said, that being authoritative is one thing we learned, and also how to deal with a crisis. And that's why I said. So that's why I said with you, coaching. I'm sure you put out many fires, but just some of the techniques, because we just didn't know. Those techniques that at a young age, learning them. This actually, I was teaching. We were talking about when we was talking about actually binding an option, how to make somebody choose by just binding their option together. I learned that from Presley Ridge. I learned those things from same sort of thing. As far as you coaching.
And to listen, not mean to cut you off, but it just runs right into being an active listener. You always ask me about some of the challenges,
right?
With females. That's a tough spot to be in. Being a male talking to a female about a female problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
And and I always, anytime I'm having a conversations with anybody, but especially a young lady, I ask God to be the guide, to make sure that I'm, asking the right questions, and being an active listener and understanding where this person's coming from. So, Don, back to your question. Learning to be a better active listener. I learned that through Presley Ridge, because you have to be an active listener, because you're dealing with kids that everything's against them to them, regardless what the situation is. Everything's against them. So you got to be able to listen to their problems and some of the issues that they're going through. Not that you agree with it, but learning to listen to them, because that helps with trust as well. That's the big thing, is you have to be able to get these kids to trust you. Same thing with working with Presley Ridge. Same thing with basketball. They got to be able to trust me as a coach.
So we skipped something. Presley Ridge was your first job, one of your first jobs, but then after that, you did a job for a number of years before you got to Salvation Army.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
When I left Presley Ridge, I got into the school system. Became it was called a drug and safe free schools mentor. So I went to different schools and basically developed a caseload with students who were struggling with behavior problems. And basically I use those techniques that I learned from Presley Ridge, you know, and being an active listener, and I feel messages and things of that nature, you know, to help kids improve their behavior. Because we all know it's very difficult to learn when you misbehaving.
Right.
And so after that, you know, I stayed in the school system. An opportunity came about to be an in-school suspension coordinator in the school system. So I did that for 7 years, and that was a success. That job was based on a grant, and it was in order for that position to continue, it was based on a success rate, meaning, you know, was the suspension rate going down?
Right,
was it increasing? That's how they was able to measure if the program was working.
But they was gonna give you that grant money again, huh?
In order to receive the grant money,
Right.
that
You
was the criteria. You got to have some results.
Right.
So I took that job very, very seriously. Once again, a lot of those techniques and interventions that we learned through Presley Ridge, I was able to apply that in the school system as well. Because you're dealing with students they could be suspended from school. So instead of suspending them, they're in school. So they're isolated in one room. Okay, with me, and I'm doing different activities with them, basically trying to get them to prepare them to go back to the regular classroom setting, and that's what that was all about. And those were some good times, some real good challenging times, but also was very fulfilling because for a kid to come back and say, "Hey, you helped me, deal with this situation," or "You helped me see Mrs. Smith's." Reason for writing me up. Right. You know, you help me understand how to take responsibility for my actions. Right. You know, that's very rewarding.
Right.
And I think the state of West Virginia kind of put, I don't know if it was last year or year before, put like a mandate to try to put the kids in school suspension instead of sending them out. Right. So it had to be something with the data that they got, because I mean, that's what they...
It was, doing that, there was so many suspensions. It was just kids were just spending more time out of school than it was in school. It was just a major problem. And I didn't realize it was. Let me back up. I did realize it was a problem because, Don, as you know, with Presley Ridge, we would have to do school visits.
Right.
And like a lot of times, if we got a call, it was because a student got in trouble in school.
Right.
So they got in trouble in school. Then they come home and take it out on the foster parents at home, and then they call us. It's a crisis. We have to go out and deal with the situation. Right. So I saw a lot of.
So y'all were counselors.
No, we were everything. We
were counselors, mentors, father figures. I mean, you name it. Wow, that was that was a good experience for me, dealing with students with that's having inappropriate behavior, because after that, I did that for 7 years. Then I went on to be, I was a behavior disorder teacher at Beckley Stratton. Wow. I did that for 4 years.
So how would you, combat with a child? Say like they on your team, they in your organization, well now within your team, and they come to you, they say, Mr. Naybz, I don't have no shoes. I mean, how do y'all work through that? You know how all the children gotta have the new whatever, you know what I'm saying? How do you work through that with a child, coming to you and saying, hey, Mr. Naybz, do you go in your pocket or how do you?
I'll say this, we make a way for that child to be able to not do without. We make a way, whether it's we raise the money, whether it comes out of our own pocket, but we're gonna make sure that every child in that program has what they need in order to be successful.
That sounds good.
So one of the things you said about when we were pressing going into schools, well, and this, no knock to the schools, but I'm just saying that's not the way it is now. The school handles it. So it's all in school. You were in the school. You're the first person we talked to that was actually in the school. But yet, we're trying to help on the outside of that, with reading and things like that. But what's one of the things, if it was an organization like a nonprofit like the Summit Kollective trying to help youth, being a mentorship, how can we help kids not really going into school, but maybe from the outside? What is one of the things you think?
I think, Don, what you guys are doing right now is helping kids in school, like the literacy program that you're developing.
Yeah, right.
That's on point. That's on point. Being in the school system, I've just witnessed so many students just lacking the skill to read. I'm talking about 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Struggling readers. So it's a need. It's a need for literacy programs and tutoring programs to take place outside of the school system, because it's not just in the home right now. It's community. It's always been community. Community raises a child.
Yeah, exactly.
But we need programs outside of the school system to help students learn and be successful.
And it's not, about only to some, like this, definitely collaborating with others in order to get
Salvation
the job.
Army.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
one of the things that
and it's not, to me, not a competition, none of that. It's just to help. We're sitting there looking, don't need blaming certain schools because we got to do something.
We got to do something.
If your kid or not, we got to do something, right? So,
right.
And that's what, I see it as, and I see you doing it. I see you doing that a lot. And not only on the basketball court, but also, like I said before, which lands you at, the Salvation Army, which is bigger than, it's a real helpful place.
Right.
I've sat in some of the breakfasts, the prayer breakfasts that you've had, which is great. Those things.
Great resources.
Yeah. Of course it is. It's just, and great people over there as well. So, I love that part of it.
Well, I'm just thankful that, to be quite honest, I'm thankful that God is looking over my life. God has put me in a position to use basketball as a tool, to help others. You'll hear a term, especially with when it comes to like getting scholarships. They'll say, use basketball as an avenue to get a scholarship. That's true. In my life, it seems like God has used basketball to help change lives for the better.
Absolutely.
Kind of like a springboard into more greatness.
Right. Most definitely. And I try, and I thank him for that every single day.
That's
for the opportunity.
I was we had a picnic couple. You were DJing the picnic, but a man you mentioned before, Dave Barksdale, was out there, Coach Barksdale, right? And he wasn't my coach. I still call him coach.
Right.
But that's the thing. But your career's still going. Hopefully you'll coach another 20 years. But I've seen him transition now. He had a court full of people playing pickleball. You know what I mean? But it's still that same passion.
Right.
To do that. Have you ever thought about life after basketball? And transition to something else. Not because you want to quit now, of course not. We want to keep going, but definitely those things. Have you looked at that?
Oh, no doubt. Every day, to be quite honest with you, I think about that. But again, I just I'm at a time in my life where I'm allowing God to, because I asked for it.
Right.
I asked for God to lead me.
Right.
And if God was to tell me, speak to me, and say, hey, it's time's up. Enough I don't want you to coach basketball anymore. Got something else for you to do. Then I have to be obedient to that. And I felt like doing that so many times, but I knew that wasn't God speaking to me, telling me to not do it. Because when you think about giving something up, a lot of times it's the negative part of it, and for me, I don't want to end on that type of note. I don't want to end because something didn't go my way or something I didn't like, and then I made a mistake a few years ago. I'm not ashamed to say I made a mistake by resigning from the girls basketball program because it was a disagreement between an organization and myself, and I made a I didn't think it through. I acted off of impulse. You know, I didn't think it through. But once, you know, I had so much support in the community. Thank God for that.
Praise God.
That said, hey, you know, you need to, you know,
Go back.
You need to go back.
Right.
The girls need you. The city needs you. You know, and I prayed about it, and you know, it was in my spirit was to go back, and it was the right thing to do because you know, you just don't. I'm not a quitter.
Right.
You know, my parents didn't raise me to be a quitter. And just because I didn't like something didn't go my way. Don't get me wrong. There's certain times where you need to disassociate yourself from something, especially when it's not right.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
and it's not ethical.
Absolutely.
You know, you should disassociate yourself with things of that nature. But in this situation here, it was more personal. It was more personal, and you know, that was a mistake. You know, it was, you know, and a lot of people thought it was for the right reason. And maybe it was for the right reason. You know, maybe it was to send a message. I don't know. I just know, looking back, I could have done it totally different.
Well, you know that you know you manned up to it,
Without a doubt.
and that's a blessing. And you got back in there, which is really excellent for the young children to be able to glean
Well,
from
it
their knowledge.
wasn't about. I had to come to. It wasn't about me.
Right,
It was
okay.
about these kids,
Absolutely,
and it was
absolutely.
about the community. You know, the community that had my back, that was supporting me. You know, it was about. That's what it came down to. It came down to that, and that's why I made that decision.
And we definitely need you because see, a lot of people don't know, but I have a sister, my older sister. She graduated from St. John's University College, and she had got a scholarship for basketball to go to college to play for St. John's University basketball, and I see how it was, you know, how older people kept pushing her. You know what I'm saying, you know, she blew her knees out, so she couldn't play no more. But I saw how people got behind her, and I see how you get behind the young children here today, and that's a blessing because if they didn't have you, I mean, you know, some of them probably wouldn't be in the shape that they in, like little Danya, my granddaughter. We praise God for her.
No doubt.
I mean,
Well, you know, kids need to be challenged. You know, they need to be pushed. You know, not to the point where it's going to be detrimental to their health or to their life, but you know, we all dealing with the world right now, and being in a position where you got to answer to somebody, you got to take direction, you got to give direction, and something has to shape you to prepare you for this situation here. So that's what we're doing. We're basically preparing and shaping young people to be in our position, you know, to be in the working world or own a business, whatever it may be. And again, I said earlier, that's really rewarding when players come back and thank me for, you know, the program that they were a part of. Now they're a doctor, or they're a lawyer, or they're a school teacher, or a basketball coach, whatever it is, but they're excelling in their field. So I feel good about that. I'm thankful for that. So you know, I look back and said maybe I was a tough coach, but maybe I wasn't that tough doing all that. You know, all those challenges and all the running, because that's what I'm known for, a lot of the conditioning. You know, you know, we want you to be in shape. You know, but at the same time learning. But maybe all that wasn't so bad. Maybe I was doing the right thing as far as pushing these individuals. Because look at them now. You know, they're excelling. They're doing well. They got families. You know, they're raising their kids with God, putting God first, and that's what it's all about.
So how do you deal with the young children? You know, you could talk to them, and how do you deal with them, you know, far as the bullying in schools, or I know it can't be in your program, no bullying, you know what I'm saying?
No, we don't tolerate.
How do y'all work through that?
We're just processing, talking, and using positive talk, you know, and at the same time, you know, standing up for yourself. You know, when you're dealing with the bully, you have to stand up for yourself. And as long as you stand up for something right, you know, you have to deal with whatever comes to you.
Okay.
I'm not big on, you know, fighting and retaliating and things like that. I'm not big on that, but I am big on respect and protecting yourself.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
and when it comes to bullying, you know, I believe kids need our support. It's not about, you know, kids up on this snitching stuff now, telling, you know, I have a different definition from snitching than some of these kids
Right.
have. You know, snitching to me is if you tell you did something wrong, but I did something wrong, but I'm gonna tell on you.
Right.
You know,
Just
to
to
get
get
myself
yourself
out of
out
trouble. You know, that's snitching. If we both doing the wrong thing and I'm caught, then I'm not gonna tell her. I'm not gonna. That's just not right. That's snitching. Okay. But in regards to trying to help a situation and get out of a dangerous situation,
Right.
you got to speak up. You got to speak up and let somebody know. Tell somebody that you trust, you know, and allow them to help you.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's good. You know, one of the reasons, I mean, of course, you know, we have collective conversations. That was, you know, one of the reasons to get you up here. Definitely a, you know, community leader. But, you know, it was a while ago. Actually, it was a couple of years ago. I wanted to tell you something, you know, but I'd rather do it now. I had went through some tough things with my daughter a couple of years ago, and there was, you know, some things going on in school. She was kind of going astray from, you know, just fighting and different things like that, you know. And it's not me talking bad about her. I'm just saying things kids might do, fall into, you know. And just, you know, I wanted to thank you because, you know, that was one of the reasons I brought you up here, to thank you publicly, you know, because what you did, you know, to help her through that, you know what I mean, to keep on accepting her, even though, you know, you know how some people are. They, you know, you're doing good for them, they find some coaches. I'm just saying, I'm not naming anyone, but some coaches, you know, they doing good for you, good. But once you know, they wash their hands of you when you do, and, you know, and you never did, you know. And I appreciate that. You know, I'm sure she does. I mean, she might not say it, but I'm appreciating she would be going there last year. I'm sure she does, because like I said, and even some things when we talked privately last week that I didn't know, that we, you know, me and you had discussed, you was really, I know I'm her dad, okay, so I get that, and I'm not sitting there trying to poke my chest out, but you were her father there for a while when she was estranged from me, just for whatever reason, you know what I mean, or whatever, I'm not putting it out there, but for whatever reason. So it's a term that I told you that, I mean, a while back, it's bigger than basketball with me, with you. I mean, I do believe God has put you, you know, in that position for you to do great things that you have been doing and will continue to do. But, you know, from bottom of my heart, anything I could ever do, you know, I would do it for you just because of that reason. Because, I mean, you don't see that. You just don't see a lot of people doing that. You know, and I appreciate that.
That's a blessing.
That's personal, you know, I appreciate that, though, really.
And this may just be one case you affected. You know, it's probably so many other stories like Don's.
Well, I really appreciate that. I believe you just don't give up on a kid.
Right.
You know, regardless of the situation, you don't give up on them. Sometimes it's just situations where you gotta let them go. You know, because if we keep spinning our wheels and doing the same thing, then you can try to help them as much as you can, but they have to make a conscious decision to change. And if they don't make that change, then it's time for them to just move on. Maybe this is not the best situation. But for me, you know, my program is always open for change. You know, it's open for change. You're willing to change, you know, regardless what type of history you have, what type of reputation you have, you know, you can change, and we believe that. And we want to, if we can, do everything we can to help you change for the better. For the better, not for the worse, for the better. You know, and for the most part, you know, God has been so good where, you know, we're in the win column.
All right.
When it comes to that, you know what I mean? We're in the win column, and I'm thankful for that. And that's what God wants us to do. God, I believe God, you know, God has a purpose for us all, right? God has a purpose. But in that purpose, I believe that He's created us all to be a problem solver.
Right.
And it may not be with mental health. It may just be with, you know, being a mechanic. It may sound crazy, but being a mechanic, you know, to fix a car problem. You know what I mean? Regardless what it is, God has given us some type of skill, some type of purpose to be a problem solver.
To contribute to the whole.
To the whole.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, you also have a great mentorship with your brother. I mean, because it looked like he follows in your footsteps.
Are you the youngest brother?
Well.
No, I'm I'm in the middle. I'm the middle child. I'm the second oldest. I'm the second oldest. So I fought with everybody around me. You know, they say the middle child gets the worst. You know,
we follow you.
You know, I'm thankful that my brother Gene is you know, he's by my side with in our program with our basketball coaching staff. That's a blessing in itself. I'm not sure if he follows me or what. Yeah. I don't know. He would have to tell you that. But it's just good to being able to, do this with my brother.
You can see the respect. I'm saying, which is which is so wonderful. I mean, like Don. I mean, we related. I'm saying, mm-hmm. So I follow him. I'm saying, but I respect everybody, mm-hmm. and I see the great things that he has done, and how he, it was a challenge with him with his daughter at one time, but he never gave up.
Right, never give up.
He never gave up.
And there's so many parents that give up on their kids.
To be able to, he allowed you, well, not allowed you, but you saw. I don't know, if your eyes was open to see what was going on, but you must have seen something that was happening. So you kept pushing. You know what I'm saying? You kept being that person that was, hey, you could just dump it all on me and I'll help you.
Right.
So that's a great.
But I'm glad you said that, because I don't think like you said, don't give up on kids, and you're right. Parents sometimes, only because they surmount what happened in the past.
Right.
But the kid's still here. The kid's still growing. The kids still need to eat. So it still needs raised as well, regardless. And they need to know that. I mean, I think that's what a lot of times parents do. I mean, and a lot of it, because there's a handbook, I guess, for parenting, but I don't know how much you can follow it. I mean, I ain't saying it like that. It's just because it changes, man. It just changes so much. You're right. You change so much, but having people directing them to people like Brian, like Coach Gene, Coach Radar, everybody has a part in it. I think they do, and that's a great thing. Like I said before, but you gotta. I mean, God puts these people in there. We always think, oh man, this coach is bad. This coach is bad. You know what I mean? But there was never a time where I thought, like, because, people were doing a lot of transferring and stuff like that. I mean, God bless them as they're going to do, but, going to a program like yours, you're going to get the godly principles, and that's the one thing. I mean, if that's what you want, like I said, if that's what you want. Winning too, don't get me wrong, winning too, and hopefully, winning even more now, but, definitely winning in life. Definitely winning in life. Well, they're definitely getting the riches of what God has for you, not so much, the trophy or whatever it may be. But I hope you can see that. I hope you continue to see that as well. I mean, if whatever endeavor you might do even after that, whatever. But you've overcame a lot in this past couple of years. I ain't gonna say it, but you overcame a lot. So to be here is a blessing as well.
Amen.
To have here is a blessing as well. So and that shows strength. You know what I mean? And not actually having the team involved with that as well. Is one thing. So it shows them life. Things do happen in life to us. Unfortunately, we get sick sometimes or whatever. But I think that's a good thing as well. I mean, can you speak just for a little bit before we close, just a little bit on your journey this last couple years? I mean, just with dealing with some things.
Some things as far as like that was
health
adversity. Health. Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. This is a testimony.
Praise God.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer almost a year and a half ago. I had surgery last year, August 2024. And, I had to go through radiation and things of that nature. I finished up with radiation and, my PSA level is back, it's at a 0.04. So that's a
praise God.
God has performed in this process. God has performed so many miracles. So I'm glad you asked that, Don, because this is, I really believe that, this is a testimony. There's no doubt about it, because cancer, period, can spread rapidly. And prostate cancer is something that can spread, very, very aggressive, and I learned a lot of things with prostate cancer. And, God performed so many miracles, but he didn't allow it to spread. We had a successful surgery, went through radiation successfully. And I'm not dealing with a lot of issues that people that had to go through prostate cancer deal with. Before and after the process.
What were some of your signs and symptoms that even led you to discover this issue?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, because I can't tell you.
There was nothing in
there were
particular.
no signs.
So it was kind of like a
Wow.
silent
But the
disease.
history, though, family
The
history.
history
You
had
did have a
family
family
history.
history then.
The reason I even went, and that's good because I'm gonna say this on this platform, you need males, you need to go get checked. Go
Absolutely.
get checked. Go get your PSA drawn and get checked and speak to your doctor because prostate cancer is a silent killer.
It is.
It can creep up on you. You don't even know. For me, my brother encouraged me. My older brother Andre, he had prostate cancer as well.
Oh, okay.
So he was telling us, you need to go get checked. Go get checked. So I did that, and I had a high PSA level, and I was basically categorized as not just high risk prostate cancer, but very high risk prostate cancer, to the point where they actually thought that it had spread to my organs or to my bones, to my hip, and God made a way where it didn't.
Praise to God.
It
Yes,
didn't spread,
yes.
and
That's great. That is.
and I have a good support system. Shout out to my wife Tracy. She's been there. Just,
Right.
man, I don't know what
Great
I would
lady,
have
great
done
lady.
without her.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
been by my side.
Great lady.
I mean, every step of the way, and I just couldn't. God had just blessed me with
Praise God.
a dynamic human being.
There you
She's
go.
just a great soul.
Yeah.
So. And my family was behind me 100%, and I'm just continue to live life and do what God wants me to do and give Him the praise.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were so excited to have you
Thank
here.
God you didn't give up.
That's it.
Couldn't give up. I couldn't give up on my wife. My wife didn't give up on
There
me.
we go.
There you
go.
So I
A good wife, a good life.
No
We
doubt.
agree.
No
I
doubt.
got one more question like that.
Sure.
This is something. Now, how if a person want to put together a basketball team?
Mm-hmm.
How do they put together a basketball team? With the tryouts, and some of the kids might not make it. How do y'all deal with that? I mean, how do you deal with the kids that might not make it on the team? I mean, is there something, a plate that you can put them, or what goes on with that?
Well, it used to be. I don't think they do this anymore. They used to have a league at the YMCA.
Okay.
I don't think they have that anymore. You had like a biddy league, you had a buddy league, and you had like I think they called it like a open league or high school league or something like that. I'm not sure. So they don't have that anymore.
Okay.
Now, if a kid here in West Virginia, if you don't make the team, it's kind of hard to. You can play AAU, but in West Virginia, you're not going to get that platform because you can't play AAU and play on a school team at the same time.
Okay.
That's against the
I
rules.
don't know basketball.
Yeah.
But
so
I know what you're saying. I'm not gonna.
So to answer your question, you have to have someone that's willing to put the time in to participate and try to develop like a league or an organization for student athletes that don't make the team. Because the season is just not another. It's not another season for student athletes who don't make the team. It's kind of that's a tough and touchy issue right there. So
we have a couple people though who have got some new AAU teams and things like that as well. To I think developing some players as well.
Right.
Maybe that would be.
So the best thing for them to do, and I know they want to play on a team, but the best thing to do is hey, work out, maybe get a personal trainer, try to find an AAU team in the off season to play on, to get ready to try out and make the team the next year. That's the best thing to do. Here in West Virginia, because you just don't, you may have some, I don't know any clubs that actually travel or go play AAU around here during the basketball season. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because it's kind of hard to do that because you got schools and things of that nature that's hosting events. So
Guys, I hate to shut it down. That's all our time. We are so blessed to have you here with us, Brian, sharing your insights and all your experiences. So we thank you for that. Thank you again, guys, for joining us for Kollective Konversations. We are grateful again for your time, your presence, and the energy you bring to these conversations. Special thanks to our guest, Brian Nabors, once again, for sharing his story, his insight, and he's such an inspiration to all of us. Before we close, we'd like to remind you about some exciting opportunities coming up with the Summit Kollective. Our Lit Go Lab program is expanding, bringing engaging literacy enrichment directly into neighborhoods and schools so more children can discover the joy and the power of reading. Alongside Lit Lab Go, we also continue to offer impactful programs like Elevate You, The Vine, Kollective Foundations, and The Root, all designed to support youth, families, and our wider community. To learn more about these programs, stay connected, and find ways to get involved, please visit us online at www.thesummitcollective.org. On our behalf of our entire team, thank you for being part of the Kollective Konversations. We look forward to seeing you again. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.